urgency of change. Don't let life pass you by in regret. Have you ever felt stuck in the cycle of procrastination, distractions, and avoidance? You know you need to change, but you keep postponing it. If this resonates with you, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. You are not alone. Most of us have moments where we tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it when the time is right. But the truth is, time waits for no one. Every day that passes without action is another day you lose a part of yourself. Imagine yourself 10 years from now, looking back at who you are today. Will you be proud that you took action? Or will you regret not having the courage to start? The reality is, if you don't take control of your life now, you will be swept away by distractions and circumstances that don't truly matter. Fear, old habits, and excuses will keep you stuck. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've missed countless opportunities. But don't worry. Buddhist teachings offer powerful principles that can help you break free from stagnation, train your mind, and create a more meaningful life. These are not just abstract ideas. They are practical lessons you can apply immediately to transform yourself. Stay until the end of this video, because the final principles will reveal the most important secrets, ones that could completely change how you view life and how you take action from today onward. And don't forget to engage in the comments. Have you ever struggled with procrastination? What is your biggest fear when it comes to change? Let's discuss. Now let's dive into 10 Buddhist principles for ultimate growth. The discipline of freedom. Discipline is often misunderstood, as many people associate freedom with the ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want. However, unrestricted indulgence often leads to chaos rather than fulfillment. Without structure or self-restraint, people frequently find themselves feeling lost rather than truly free. This paradox highlights an essential truth. Genuine freedom does not come from the absence of discipline, but from mastering it. A great archer once remarked that his skill did not lie in the arrows he shot, but in his discipline. This analogy perfectly captures the balance required for true mastery. If the bow is held too loosely, the arrow will not fly far. If pulled too forcefully, it will veer off course. The same principle applies to life. Without the right level of discipline, one either fails to progress or becomes overwhelmed by reckless ambition. True liberation comes not from rejecting discipline, but from embracing it in a way that fosters growth and direction. Discipline serves as the foundation for personal and professional development. It differentiates those who achieve their goals from those who remain stagnant. Many people resist discipline because they perceive it as a restriction on their freedom, but in reality, it is the very tool that enables them to move forward. Without discipline, ambitions remain nothing more than wishful thinking, as desires without structured effort lead to frustration and inaction. Consider the daily habits of high achievers. They do not simply rely on motivation, which is fleeting, but instead cultivate a structured approach to their goals. Whether in academics, career, fitness, or personal development, those who succeed do so because they practice discipline consistently. The artist refines their craft through relentless practice, the athlete builds strength through rigorous training, and the entrepreneur succeeds through unwavering commitment to their vision. Moreover, discipline creates a sense of internal stability. A life dictated by whims and impulses is unpredictable and exhausting, often leading to dissatisfaction and regret. In contrast, a disciplined approach allows one to harness their energy effectively, channeling it towards meaningful pursuits. When discipline is internalized, it no longer feels like an external force imposing limits, but rather a guiding principle that brings clarity, purpose, and self-mastery. Ultimately, the paradox of freedom and discipline reveals that structure does not inhibit growth, it enables it. True freedom is not the absence of responsibility, but the ability to act with intention and control. By cultivating discipline, individuals gain mastery over their actions, choices, and ultimately their destinies. In doing so, they experience a profound form of freedom, one that is rooted in purpose, direction, and the ability to shape their own lives with intention, rather than being controlled by fleeting desires or external circumstances. Tasha, face your inner demons before they grow. Facing one's inner demons requires deep self-awareness and courage, as unresolved fears, guilt, and regrets do not simply fade with time, but grow in the shadows of avoidance. The story of the traveler and the monk illustrates this psychological truth. When fear is left unchecked, it may appear monstrous, but direct confrontation reveals that its power does not come from reality, but from our own distorted perceptions. Most people instinctively flee from discomfort, believing that avoidance will bring relief. However, what is ignored does not disappear. Instead, it accumulates, growing stronger in the subconscious until it manifests as anxiety, self-doubt, or emotional paralysis. The human mind is a complex landscape where suppressed emotions accumulate like unpaid debts, demanding repayment at unexpected moments. Unprocessed fears linger beneath the surface, influencing decisions, relationships, and self-perception. A person who avoids facing their failures may develop a crippling fear of trying again, while someone who suppresses past guilt may unknowingly sabotage their own happiness, believing they are unworthy of joy. This cycle perpetuates suffering, as avoidance breeds more avoidance, creating a prison of one's own making. True liberation from inner demons requires direct engagement. Just as the monk walked into the cave with a lantern, individuals must illuminate their fears with awareness. Meditation serves as a powerful tool in this process, as it forces the practitioner to sit with their raw, unfiltered emotions instead of distracting themselves with external noise. When one observes their thoughts without judgment, they begin to see the nature of their fears, not as absolute truths, but as passing constructs of the mind. Awareness is transformative. It strips fear of its illusory power and replaces it with clarity. Acknowledging one's demons is not a sign of weakness, but an act of profound strength. The courage to confront personal darkness is what allows individuals to reclaim control over their lives. Fear only dominates when it remains unnamed and unexplored. By bringing suppressed emotions into consciousness, one can process and integrate them, rather than be controlled by them. This is why people who actively engage in self-reflection, whether through meditation, journaling, or deep introspection, often experience a greater sense of inner peace and resilience. They are no longer at war with themselves, but have made peace with their past, allowing them to move forward without the weight of unresolved burdens. Growth is impossible without discomfort. The only way to overcome suffering is to move through it with awareness and acceptance. While the journey inward may be daunting, it is the only path to true freedom. Those who continuously run from their demons remain trapped in a cycle of fear, while those who face them head-on emerge with a deeper understanding of themselves and a newfound strength. The key to emotional liberation is not to eliminate fear entirely, but to see it for what it truly is, a temporary shadow cast by the mind, which dissipates the moment one dares to shine a light upon it.
Speak your truth or become a puppet. A life lived in silence and conformity is a life controlled by fear, much like the puppet whose movements are dictated by invisible strings. The illusion of control is powerful. Many believe that avoiding conflict, seeking approval, and conforming to expectations will bring security and acceptance. However, the true prison is not the external forces that influence us, but the internal fear that keeps us from severing the strings. When people prioritize being liked over being authentic, they trade their identity for a fleeting sense of belonging, creating an existence that is not truly theirs. The puppet in the story represents those who speak words that are not their own, suppress their truth, and mold themselves to fit the expectations of others. This suppression comes at a cost. Every unspoken thought, every avoided truth, and every time one bites their tongue to maintain harmony, a part of their authentic self is lost. Over time, this erasure of identity leads to an internal void, a growing sense of detachment from oneself. The more one abandons their truth, the more they become a passive observer in their own life, moving through the world like an actor playing a role rather than an individual with autonomy. Buddhism's principle of right speech is not just about honesty, but about conscious expression, speaking with awareness, integrity, and purpose. It emphasizes that truth is not merely about facts, but about alignment with one's deepest self. Many people fear that speaking their truth will lead to rejection, but in reality, silence is a far greater burden. When one suppresses their voice for too long, They become disconnected from their own desires, losing the ability to discern what they truly think and feel. They exist not as individuals, but as reflections of what others expect them to be. The illusion of approval masquerades as freedom, yet it is the opposite. Seeking validation at the cost of authenticity creates a false reality where relationships, opportunities, and even one's own self-worth are built on a fragile foundation. If one must alter their essence to be accepted, then the acceptance is not of them, but of the image they have constructed. This realization is crucial. True belonging comes not from pleasing others, but from embracing oneself. Those who demand conformity do not offer real acceptance. They offer conditional approval that disappears the moment one steps outside the prescribed mold. To cut the strings is to reclaim one's voice, but this requires courage. The world often discourages authenticity, favoring compliance over individuality, yet true freedom is impossible without self-expression. Those who dare to speak their truth do not do so because it is easy, but because the cost of silence is too great. The choice is stark. Live as a puppet, controlled by the fears and expectations of others, or cut the strings and risk standing alone. But in that solitude lies the greatest liberation, the ability to exist as one truly is, unshackled by the need for external approval, and finally free to live a life that is undeniably and unapologetically one's own.
4. Embrace struggle. It is the fire that forges you. Struggles are often viewed as obstacles or misfortunes to avoid, yet they play an essential role in the shaping of our character and growth. Much like a blacksmith who tempers raw iron by subjecting it to the intense heat of the forge, human beings too are refined and strengthened through the difficulties and challenges they face. The discomfort and hardships we experience in life are not punishments or signs of misfortune, but rather the very fire that forges us into stronger, wiser individuals. Many people instinctively seek to escape pain and hardship, prioritizing comfort and ease above all else. Yet this avoidance of struggle only serves to weaken them in the long run. The Buddha's journey offers a profound illustration of how hardship can be a catalyst for growth. He did not seek to evade suffering, but embraced it in his quest for enlightenment. His path was not one of avoiding pain, but of transcending it. The Buddha faced intense struggles during his pursuit of wisdom, and it was through those very struggles that he achieved a deeper understanding of life. His ability to endure suffering and learn from it allowed him to reach enlightenment. This teaches us an important lesson. It is not the absence of hardship that leads to growth, but the way we confront and transcend it. When we encounter challenges, be it emotional pain, failure, or moments of uncertainty, these are not signs that we are failing, but rather opportunities for transformation. Heartbreak, while deeply painful, teaches us resilience. Through the heartbreak, we learn to rebuild our sense of self, to navigate the complexities of human emotions, and to grow stronger in the face of future challenges. Similarly, failure is often seen as a setback, but it is in fact a valuable teacher. Failure forces us to reevaluate our strategies, to reconsider our approaches, and to gain wisdom from our mistakes. It is through failure that we often discover new paths to success. Even moments of apparent regression, where we feel as if we are being set back in life, can lead to significant growth. A setback can be a necessary pause, providing us with the space to reassess, to reflect, and to gather strength for the next phase of our journey. These moments are not to be feared, but embraced as part of the natural process of growth. It is through struggle that we expand our capacity to handle future challenges with grace, wisdom, and strength. The key to transforming hardship into a tool for growth lies in how we perceive it. Rather than viewing struggles as burdens to be avoided, we must shift our perspective to see them as essential ingredients in our personal development. Every challenge holds the potential to unlock new levels of resilience, wisdom, and understanding. The act of confronting difficulties, rather than running from them, teaches us how to adapt and evolve. Each difficulty becomes an opportunity to refine ourselves, much like metal being shaped in the forge. Thus, it is essential to stop cursing hardship and begin to embrace it as a necessary part of our journey. The struggles we face are not random or meaningless. They are the very forces that shape our character and prepare us for the greater challenges of life. When we start to view struggle as a source of fuel for transformation, we begin to understand its true value. Instead of avoiding hardship, we can learn to harness it, using it to strengthen our resolve and deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The greatest opportunities for growth are often disguised as our most difficult challenges. 5. Your mind is a weapon. Sharpen it or be defeated. A warrior who neglects to sharpen his sword is bound to face failure when battle arrives, as a dull blade is no match for an opponent's sharp one. Similarly, a mind that remains untrained and unfocused will be ineffective in the challenges it faces. In the modern world, distractions are pervasive, and an unsharpened mind is a weakness that can lead to defeat. The constant bombardment of notifications, social media, and noise serves as a powerful distraction, making it difficult for many to focus on what truly matters. Without sharpening the mind, individuals are at the mercy of external influences that control their attention and consequently their lives. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of deep concentration as a means of gaining control over the mind. Focus is not simply an ability to avoid distractions, but a profound power that can transform one's thoughts, emotions, and decisions. The sharper the mind, the more control a person has over their responses to life's challenges, which ultimately determines their destiny. However, in today's society, most people allow their attention to be pulled in countless directions, unable to maintain the clarity necessary to make thoughtful, intentional decisions. In this context, if one does not actively cultivate and maintain focus, someone or something else will inevitably take control of it. Meditation provides the most effective tool for sharpening the mind. Just as a sword needs to be honed regularly to remain effective, the mind requires daily practice to maintain its edge. Even a few minutes of stillness each day can significantly enhance one's ability to concentrate and maintain focus. In those moments of quiet, the mind is given the space to reset and center itself, gradually developing the discipline needed to stay attentive and clear amidst the distractions of daily life. Over time, this practice cultivates mental strength and clarity, enabling an individual to discern truth from illusion and move with purpose and intention. A strong, sharp mind is not easily swayed by the noise of the world. It sees through the distractions and illusions that cloud judgment and guides a person to make decisions that align with their goals and values. Just as a warrior would never go into battle with an unsharpened sword, one should never face life's challenges with a dull mind. The ability to focus is a vital tool for success, and through consistent training, anyone can sharpen their mind to face the world with clarity and purpose. 6. Attachments are chains that keep you stuck. The metaphor of a mighty eagle born in captivity, never knowing the freedom of the open sky, serves as a powerful illustration of how attachments can bind us. The eagle, initially full of potential, becomes confined within the walls of its cage, unable to spread its wings and soar. Over time, it ceases to struggle and accepts the limitations of its environment, believing the bars of the cage to be its reality. This story mirrors the way many people live their lives, not physically confined, but mentally and emotionally trapped by their attachments. These attachments can come in various forms: relationships, identities, possessions that we hold on to, often without realizing the harm they cause. Buddhism teaches the concept of impermanence, the understanding that everything in life is subject to change. Yet most people resist this fundamental truth. Instead of embracing change, they cling to things, ideas, and people that no longer serve them. They hold on to relationships that drain their energy, identities that no longer align with who they are becoming, and material possessions that they believe will bring them lasting happiness. These attachments, whether emotional, social, or material, become chains that prevent personal growth and evolution. They restrict our freedom by creating a false sense of security, leading us to stay in situations that no longer contribute to our well-being. The pain we experience does not stem from change itself, but from our resistance to it. Change is an inherent part of life, and it is through change that we learn, grow, and adapt. However, when we resist change and hold on to things that are no longer beneficial, we create unnecessary suffering. This resistance is often driven by fear, the fear of letting go, of losing what we think we need, or of facing the unknown. Yet letting go does not mean losing something valuable. Instead, it opens up space for new experiences, opportunities, and growth. By relinquishing our attachments, we allow ourselves to embrace the natural flow of life and make room for transformation. The tighter we hold on to something, the more suffering it brings. Attachments create an internal tension that manifests as anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. We become increasingly consumed by our need to hold on to what we perceive as essential, only to find that the more we cling, the more we lose our peace. In contrast, when we learn to release our attachments, we create room for inner freedom and clarity. Letting go is not an act of weakness, but of strength, as it requires the courage to trust in the impermanence of life and the wisdom to know that holding on to what no longer serves us only keeps us stuck. The path to liberation lies in the ability to recognize these attachments as chains and to free ourselves from their grip. 7. The illusion of one day is the enemy of growth. The illusion of one day can trap people in a cycle of perpetual waiting, leading them to believe that happiness, success, or personal growth is always just around the corner, but never within reach. The metaphor of the traveler walking toward the horizon exemplifies this mindset. No matter how far he travels, the horizon continually recedes, creating an endless journey that leads nowhere. This is how most individuals approach their dreams or aspirations. They postpone taking action, convinced that the right time to change will come eventually. One day, I'll be disciplined. One day, I'll take control of my life. But this mentality is ultimately self-deceptive. One day is nothing but an illusion, a false promise that delays progress and feeds procrastination. People who live in the hope of one day waste precious time, believing that they can put off the necessary actions for self-improvement until a more convenient or opportune moment. However, the truth is that the only time that truly exists is the present. The power to change, to grow, and to take meaningful action lies within the now, not in some distant future. Waiting for the perfect moment or for circumstances to align only slows down progress and can ultimately poison one's opportunities. Every day spent waiting for the ideal time to act is a day lost, a day that could have been used to make meaningful strides toward personal growth and achievement. The consequences of putting things off are often revealed with the passage of time. It is easy to look ahead and imagine a future where success, happiness, and fulfillment will materialize once certain conditions are met, but the future will inevitably reflect the choices made in the present. Imagining yourself 10 years from now can serve as a stark reminder of this. Will you look back and feel gratitude for the steps you took today to shape your life, or will you regret the time spent in inaction? The regret of not starting sooner can become a heavy burden, one that could have been avoided by choosing to act in the present. The illusion of one day is a powerful force, but it can be dismantled by recognizing that growth and success are built through daily choices. Every decision, no matter how small, contributes to the trajectory of our lives. Procrastination and delay only make the journey longer and more difficult. True growth happens now, in the choices and actions of today, not in the empty promises of a future that never arrives. Therefore, the key to achieving personal development is not to wait for the perfect moment, but to make the most of the time you have now. 8. Seek meaning, not pleasure. The pursuit of pleasure is often like a traveler in a desert chasing a mirage, an illusion that seems to promise relief, but ultimately leaves one more parched and dissatisfied. This cycle of chasing after fleeting pleasures, such as wealth, validation, or status, becomes an endless pursuit that fails to provide true fulfillment. While these external markers of success may offer temporary satisfaction, they ultimately leave a person feeling emptier with each indulgence. The more one seeks pleasure, the more it becomes a hollow pursuit, always just out of reach and never able to fully satisfy. People often equate happiness with material wealth, recognition, or social standing, believing that acquiring these will bring lasting contentment. However, this mindset ignores a critical truth, that pleasure in its simplest form is transitory. Each moment of pleasure fades, and the sense of fulfillment it brings is fleeting. For example, the satisfaction gained from a material possession or a moment of validation quickly wears off, prompting a renewed search for the next source of pleasure. This constant chase ultimately leads to dissatisfaction because it is based on consumption rather than meaningful growth. The Buddha, in his quest for enlightenment, did not seek pleasure or indulgence. Instead, he sought understanding, wisdom that transcends the transient joys of the material world. His journey was about discovering deeper truths and finding peace through self-awareness and spiritual growth. True fulfillment, as the Buddha taught, comes from personal growth, contribution, and the cultivation of inner peace. It is not derived from what we consume, but from what we contribute to the world and how we evolve as individuals. In contrast to the empty pursuit of pleasure, meaning is found in connecting with others, contributing to something greater than oneself, and continually growing as a person. Fulfillment is a result of living with intention, purpose, and an understanding of what truly matters. When we focus on growth and contribution rather than consumption, we find a deeper, more lasting sense of contentment that cannot be found in the pursuit of pleasure alone. Meaning provides a sense of direction and satisfaction that pleasure, in its fleeting nature, can never offer. 9. Serve something greater than yourself. The idea that a single flame can light 1,000 candles without losing its glow serves as a powerful metaphor for the act of giving. It highlights the concept that by serving something greater than yourself, you do not diminish yourself, but rather expand. Your purpose in life is not solely about personal gain or achievement. It is about the positive impact you have on others. By helping others, whether through acts of kindness, service, or leadership, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond your immediate environment. Just as one flame can illuminate countless others, your contributions can spread far, benefiting people and causes in ways that you may never fully realize. The happiest and most fulfilled individuals are not those who accumulate wealth, recognition, or status for themselves, but those who give selflessly to others. This giving can take many forms, whether it is time, resources, support, or simply sharing knowledge. In giving, people often find the deepest sense of purpose, as it is through acts of service that one transcends the limitations of the self. When you focus on something greater than your own desires, your world expands. You begin to see beyond your personal concerns and develop a sense of interconnectedness with others. Serving a cause, a community, or even an individual allows you to live in alignment with a deeper sense of meaning. Rather than being confined to personal ambition, you engage with the world around you in a way that creates lasting value. The act of serving something greater than yourself opens up new dimensions of possibility, where your actions are not defined by what you take from life, but by what you give to it. Furthermore, the greatest gifts often arise not from what you accumulate or keep, but from what you choose to share. Many people find their most profound sense of fulfillment and purpose not in holding on to their talents, resources, or time, but in offering them to others. In this process, the act of service becomes transformative, not just for those receiving help, but also for the person giving. Serving others enables growth, enhances perspective, and fosters a sense of collective well-being. In this way, your greatest gift may well be found in what you give, rather than what you possess. 10. Death is your greatest teacher. Live accordingly. The assumption that we have unlimited time is a misconception that can cause us to take life for granted. Life is fleeting, and the awareness of death is essential for living a meaningful existence. Buddhism teaches that death is not an enemy to be feared, but rather a teacher to be embraced. It is through the acknowledgement of our mortality that we gain a deeper appreciation for the moments we have. Death provides life with context and meaning, serving as a reminder that our time is limited and precious. If we were to recognize the inevitability of death, it might radically alter the way we live. Consider the scenario where you knew you only had 1 year left to live. What would you do differently? This thought experiment forces us to confront our priorities. We might stop postponing dreams, stop waiting for the perfect time, and instead begin to act on our desires and goals right away. The reality is that the right time is often an illusion, a future that never materializes. Waiting for everything to align perfectly can result in missed opportunities. By living with the awareness of death, we are encouraged to live fully without hesitation or fear. Life becomes more urgent and the trivial distractions that often consume our time lose their significance. Instead, we begin to prioritize what truly matters, living with passion, loving deeply, and taking courageous actions that align with our values. Death, as a constant teacher, urges us to embrace the present moment and make the most of the time we have. When we recognize that life is finite, we are more likely to engage with it meaningfully, appreciating each experience and relationship for the gift it is. Conclusion: the path is the goal. Growth is not about achieving some distant goal, it is about the journey itself. The moment you start walking, you have already arrived. The only question is, will you take the first step today?